Welcome in. It is day 136, and you're speaking to the Meeples Champion. And today, we're going to be jumping back into another one of our stream of games I've talked about in the past. This was our very first review, and now we're jumping into its fourth and final version. That is Azul, Stained Glass of Sintra. So, the reason this one came in last for me was I essentially went in order of my favorites. Those first three are three of my favorite games. Azul Stained Glass of Sintra is my least favorite of the series. I don't dislike the game, but of all of their different versions, it's the one that just grabs me the least. I don't pull it off the shelf very often, but I like that I own it. And I like that I do have the option to throw this out there once in a while. The concept of the game is much like the other ones. You're doing your picks. Do you want one or two or three, whatever it may be, the groups, you put the others in the middle, and then you go and you have to place them. However, this one tracks. You have different lines. The lines are going to have two sides. So you'll be like, okay, we are making this line. I can drop these into the line and put them in their places, or I can move forward. When I move forward, I have to move forward so many spots, and then that cuts me off. So now when I pick the next time, I can continue to put them into the line I'm in, or move forward but not backward. It's not until you've reached the end of the line that you now can jump back to the beginning and start from scratch again. So you'll draw these, you'll put them out, you'll eventually be able to complete it, and you get bonus points based on completing an entire stained glass window, but also when you get things down below. When you do complete one, you flip it, so now there's a secondary side, so you get stuff based on not only the window completion, but also, well, did you do the first, the third, and the fifth? That's not going to be as good as the first, the second, and the third. The same idea as what you were doing in basic Azul, where it's the lining up of them all. It just comes in a totally different way. It's a really interesting game. It just doesn't strike it for me. I love the complexity of the newest with Queen's Garden. I loved the setup with the flower arrangement, Summer Pavilion, where I was able to actually go in and be working on these different flower arrangements. I loved the original for the basic of it. This one, just its setup is the least intriguing to me. That being said, why don't we jump into our 7 categories and see where this one lands. So the art on this is okay. I don't love it. This one kind of strikes me like, of all of the Azul games, this is the closest one to Sagrada. Not only for the fact you're making stained glass, which is what Sagrada is, but just the visual representation of its box and of its art on its pieces. It's not bad. It just doesn't necessarily get me, but it is an overall good art. I'm going to give it a thumbs up. When it comes to the components, you've got your different stained glass windows and the pieces that they go on top of in the middle. All these are cardboard. That's great. And then you've got your actual representation of the tiles. Now, while it's a very good tile, it is, again, one of the reasons I don't like this compared to the other ones is it's my least favorite tile. Instead of it just being a regular tile, these ones have like a circle of it dipping on each side. I'm just not a big fan of that, but it's a good design. It's not going to break. So I think they do a good job with these components. I'm going to give it a thumbs up. The price. So for starters, where's the availability? Well, the availability is, yes, you're probably going to find this in 2, maybe 3 out of every 5 board game stores. It's not massively available because it's not the newest Azul and it's not the classic Azul. It kind of comes out in this weird area where it's like, well, basic Azul is going to be everywhere because it's basic Azul, and Azul Queen's Garden's the newest one, so that's going to be taking up a lot of space. This one, though, finds its way into board game stores. But what I don't see this one very often in is Target or Barnes & Noble anymore. I find that with those two, this has kind of disappeared. So for that reason, it is out there, but not as available. Price-wise, though, it's right in the $40 range, and that's acceptable. So I'm going to give it a thumbs up for that. Your difficulty. Where is the difficulty on this? I think that this game is not massively difficult. I think that it is got the same complexities as basic Azul, trying to set it up. It's just a little visually harder because basic Azul and even Summer Pavilion and even Queen's Garden, it's all right there in front of you. But with this one, you're trying to see different sections. It happens here, it flips it, it moves down. It's kind of harder to follow as easily. It's definitely harder to see what your opponents are scoring as easily. So for me, I don't think that it's too difficult. I just think it's annoying because it's hard to track. But overall, the difficulty is you could still enjoy this as experienced and as a beginner. I think kids and I think that experts might both be a little bit more deterred, but they still are willing to try or play occasionally. So I'm going to give it a thumbs up for that. Your replayability. This game is not one I think, if you only own this one and none of the other Azuls, I think this is one that you can play like maybe once a month. I don't think this is going to be a weekly pick. And that's if this is one of the few games on your shelf. If you're a little bit bigger of a gamer, you have a bigger collection, I do think that this is going to dip for you. That being said, beyond that, how often can you play it when you pull it out? I do think this is one that you could consider to play twice in a night. It's not wicked fast, but it's not so long that you can't consider it. So I'm going to give it the thumbs up. It's a little shaky, but it gets through there. Keys to victory. So this is one where the keys are there. You have the option. Do you want to try and score based on the individual tiles here? Are you trying to score based on it going down below? Are you trying to get them in a line? Are you trying to score based on colors? There is ways to score bonus points in this game, so you can kind of pick the direction you want to go through all this. It's acceptable. I just feel that when it comes to those keys to victory, they are limiting in from what I've seen compared to the other Azul games. I feel like all the other Azuls, I see a little bit more obvious actions, and this one's a little bit tighter. Not in a bad way, just that's part of the reason I tend to steer towards one of those other three options. But it does get it here. I got to give it a thumbs up. Unique. So this game is not unique. It is a thumbs down. The reason being is, unlike your other Azuls, this one gets compared not only to them, which would have already gotten its thumbs down, but also to Sagrada. I feel like this is an obvious choice when Sagrada comes out as to which one should I play, because I get that thematic feel. Whereas when I'm doing all the other ones, I don't get that same thematic feel between the two. So I tend to just say I'm in an Azul mood and I'm picking between those three. 4 if you want to include this one. This just doesn't really get competitively up there for me very often. So it is a thumbs down there. Overall, what do I think? It's a great game design. It really is. It's just how it hits for each person, and this one doesn't hit for me. I know other people that this is their favorite in the series, and other ones that I love are the ones that dip for them. It's up to a combination of how are the points scoring, what's the theme, what's the feel you get when you get that game to the table, how easy or hard is it to play. There's a lot of stuff that comes into it, and that is where it hits for me. But for you, that could be totally different. So get out there, try all the Azuls, and see where this one strikes for you. And if it does hit huge, great. Even if it doesn't, it might be one that's still worth being in your collection, because it's always nice to have options. Even a game that is my least favorite out of a quartet gets the occasional play because it's nice to change things up. It makes the other games better when I can occasionally play this one that I still enjoy and then go back and play that and go, oh, I forgot how much I like that more than this. It's a nice little change up once in a while. Well, it has been day 136, and we've been speaking about the game Azul Stained Glass de Sintra. And you've been speaking to the Meeples Champion. Like, share, subscribe, and check down below in the description where you can find an Amazon link for this game in case you want to add it to your collection. Until next time, I'll talk to you tomorrow.